And we do have breaking news for you out just moments ago. This is a real shocker. Hold on to your seats. A brand new NBC Wall Street Journal poll just now released, and guess what? Teddy taking the top spot. Ted Cruz is at 28%, followed by Donald Trump at 26%, and Rubio bringing in the rear at 17%. Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Judge Alex, Crystal Wright, and Eric Erickson. Eric, let me go to you first. Let's start with the poll because it's just now breaking. Now, let's be clear. A lot of polls out today, every poll out in the last week have shown Donald Trump not just winning, but winning substantially, whether it's in South Carolina or nationwide. So I'm not sure if this is an anomaly or not, but this is big news.
Well, it is, and the most significant thing about this poll actually is it's the only poll that came out today that is entirely conducted not on the weekend and after the debate on Saturday and the news of Scalia. So it's a Monday, Tuesday polling, not a Saturday, Sunday polling, which in a lot of southern and Republican areas aren't very accurate because a lot of families go to church when the pollsters call. So it may very well be an outlier, but it is the only poll to come out after the Scalia news and the debate on Saturday.
You know, Crystal, some folks saying that Donald Trump had been sort of antsy the last few days, even with that press conference yesterday, because there were internal polls amongst all the camps showing maybe not Cruz leading, but coming on. Could there be some legitimacy to this poll?
I mean, time will tell. As Eric pointed out, it's the first real poll done after that bruiser of a debate we had and Scalia's death. But what's interesting is there's another poll out by Bloomberg showing that Donald Trump has a 19 percentage point lead in South Carolina, and that poll also shows that he's winning across all groups, even women and establishment Republicans and, you know, evangelicals. So it could be a blip. We don't know. I think time will tell.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. In fact, we only have a few days, Tammy, with respect to South Carolina. But here's what the pollsters had to say. To the point that was made earlier, this is the only poll that's been done, at least major poll that's been done since the debate and since the New Hampshire victory. Trump had a significant lead the last time they did it, a 13-point lead. And the pollsters said change, they're going to see if this is a momentary pause and if the numbers could perhaps snap back. What do you make of it?
Well, even with the margin of error, that front group is really kind of tied. And the numbers, I don't think you can really trust. We've seen this with the polls before, but they can show you a trend. And that's the thing that's troubling, especially when it begins to mirror the internal polls that show the trend of Cruz moving up and Trump not being necessarily where he thinks he is going to be. Also, the numbers of undecided still in South Carolina are enormous. But the unknown factor is, of course, it's an open primary. So independents can choose to vote for the Republican in the Republican nomination. So that's an unknown. I've been calling it Cruz, Trump, Rubio, and
in South
Bush.
Carolina or national?
In South Carolina.
Really?
And Nikki Haley, of course, now is endorsing Marco Rubio, which will have an impact. Maybe we'll see. But I don't see Rubio winning. This is still between Cruz and Trump.
Judge, what do you make of this? And also I want to ask you about the legal issue that came up today, because right before this poll, that was certainly the biggest news out there. But you have an opinion on this, on the poll? Could this be an anomaly, or could it be something, the beginning of something?
I think Donald Trump is in second place until he makes his next outrageous statement, and then he's in first place again.
So before the night is over?
Yeah. maybe before your show is over.
Okay, what about this? What about this potential lawsuit? You know, Ted Cruz saying, bring it on, my man. I mean, listen, of course, Ted Cruz has argued in front of the Supreme Court a few times.
Ted is a very, very intelligent man. The reality is anybody can file a lawsuit. Nothing prevents Trump from filing a lawsuit. You go file your filing fee and you tie up maybe some of Ted Cruz's resources in fighting in litigation. Does it have any merit? No, I don't see any merit at all. Political speech is one of the most protected speeches under the First Amendment. And on top of that, you have the fact that those statements were made. Maybe he's changed his position, but to prove defamatory and then to show, even if you get their damages, I mean, you're going to have a lot of people that say you can't damage his reputation. So I don't see it going anywhere, to be honest.
Crystal, why does Trump get so fixated on stuff like this?
Well, I mean, who said at the top? I mean, you know, this is Trump's election to lose. We all know that. He gets fixated because I think he has an outsized ego, right? But who doesn't running for president? I mean, you talk about Teddy Cruz. You know, I would tell Cruz is, you know, he can file a lawsuit. You shouldn't tango with Trump. I don't, you know, I think that poll is a blip. I think it's a pause. I think Trump is going to, you know, sail away in South Carolina, and Cruz is just going to keep talking and trying to challenge him and rise up to the top. But I mean, you know, Trump it's personal for him. We see this, but every time he gets angry, like you said, and somebody, says something that makes him upset, he drops another bomb, and what are we doing? We're talking about it, right?
Right.
Well, look, I think this is it, though. In order to deal with a bully, you've got to confront them. And I think Ted Cruz's response of go ahead and do it is key. These men who think that they can run the free world had better show that they can face up to a bully like Trump and take their stand. And if they can't do it, then they don't deserve to be president.
Eric, on that note, Donald Trump has threatened a lot of people with lawsuits, and I'm not sure if you're on that list. I know Club for Growth was and others. How come no one else stepped up to the plate the way Ted Cruz did today, and can that make a difference?
Well, it's actually a strategic issue on Ted Cruz's part. The media in South Carolina had been fixated on the fact that an outside super PAC, not controlled by Cruz but supporting him, had an ad pulled down on South Carolina. Now, no lawyers in Iowa took the ad down where it was playing, but in South Carolina, the rumors political pressure got the ad taken down. But the Rubio campaign used it as a bludgeon against Cruz in the last 24 hours. So Cruz now has a press conference against Donald Trump showing that Trump wants a frivolous lawsuit for an ad to be taken down. He gets to double the exposure of the ad, distract from the story about Rubio getting an ad pulled, and force people to confront, particularly the evangelicals in South Carolina, Trump's prior position on abortion.
Well, there's no doubt that, hey, if you want to get the news cycle, you've got to perhaps, if you're anyone else other than Donald Trump, you got to play the game. This is certainly news. That's why we're leading off with it.